Hi guys, it's Nicole, and today I am sharing sketch number 4 from the Scrapbook Generation 6x6 sketch bundle. I have mentioned this in previous videos. I am also participating in their Facebook group, however, I am a little bit behind. I believe the week that this video goes up, they will have already been posting sketch number 5. I have yet to start mine, and again, I'm completely okay with that. I'm just making sure that I don't go in and look at the samples from Allison Davis herself and from the other participants in the class, because again, I am trying to rely on stretching my personal, creative muscles in a sense. And I will warn you guys, this video is about 18 minutes long, so maybe grab a drink or start working on a layout yourself. I thought about editing out quite a bit of it, and I did pull some footage out that was just kind of repetitive and a little bit slow, but a lot of you tell me that you kind of like to see my struggle, or I guess like me just kind of trying to figure out what's going to work in a situation. And I'm not sure what it was about this one. I feel like some parts of it was pretty easy, some parts of it I knew what I wanted to do, and then there was just a couple elements that I think were not my favorite, or maybe it just wasn't working out with either the products that I picked or the photos that I was using. But at the same time, I needed to make decisions and just kind of get it finished. So I'm going to kind of explain that a little bit further as we go along. I did choose to go ahead and use a notebook pattern paper from a Simple Stories basic pack for my base on the left side, and then white cardstock for my base on the right side. And then if you have the sketches and you're in the class, you know what the sketch looks like. If you don't, I will just tell you that I did a modification on the left page. Her sketch shows a 4x6 photo and 2 3x5 photos in like a big cluster. I substituted that for 2 4x6 photos just based on the photos that I had. And basically I just used one of each of my kids where we had written their name in the snow. And I will tell you that my sort of winter and snow themed supplies is very minimal, and I'm going to run into some issues with that here a little bit later on as well. It does not really snow here. We did get a significant amount of snow, probably 2008, I want to say. And in particular, our neighborhood, like our backyard, we had over a foot of snow for about a week. It took a while to melt, but it doesn't snow here. Like, we don't get enough rain. It doesn't get cold enough. So yeah. So again, my supplies are kind of lacking. And then this punch, I had wanted to do kind of like a white on white border going down the right-hand side of the layout. And as soon as I started using this punch, I was very confused, because I think in my mind I thought it was just going to be sort of half snowflakes going down the edge. That punch is actually like a negative, so it punches kind of like a snowflake image into your paper. It doesn't really make a border, I guess. So I gave up on that pretty quickly because I was just irritated. Either I didn't look at it close enough years ago when I bought it, or I don't know. I think even when you're looking at it, it's very confusing on sort of what it's going to look like until you punch it. So I gave up on that. My main photos, the big ones, the 4x6 ones, I went ahead and matted them with some white cardstock and then did a double mat on some wood grain paper, which again is from that same Simple Stories like Snap Basics, where it's, I want to say like 10 different wood grains, and then the other side is all like grid and notebook, and you get a mix of like white and cream. And I've said this before, I appreciate it when manufacturers like Simple Stories and Doodlebug, Bella Boulevard, those are the ones that come to mind when I think of them using the same palette. Like, they all almost kind of have their own, almost like box of crayons. So you know that if you buy a Doodlebug collection and it has a dark red in it and a pink in it, you know that that is the exact same red and the exact same pink that's in their Christmas line and in their birthday line. So I kind of appreciate it when manufacturers do that. And then I have mentioned this before, that I actually do not like to use 6x6 papers to span a 12-inch for the strips. However, and that was part of what I cut out of the video, I went hunting through my stash trying to find something that was going to work. The other Simple Stories sort of winter themed lines that I had were completely different tones. So everything that I was kind of trying to pick wasn't working. I think originally I thought I was going to do that wood grain, and then I went away from that because one of the 6x6 papers that I chose had a wood grain behind those pre-printed snowflakes. So I decided to go ahead and just butt up to 6-inch border strips together with the intention to cover the seam later. Spoiler alert, I forget to cover that seam. I think it's okay. It's not super noticeable, I think, just because of the pattern that I picked, but I've said this before, generally, I don't like doing it. If I'm going to span a 12-inch, I want to have a 12-inch piece of paper, basically, unless it's going underneath like photos or something that I'm not going to forget to cover up that seam. Now, these are some really old Sizzlets that I had bought years ago. I don't think I've ever used them. This specific design right here cut okay. Later on, you're going to see me try to cut some other ones, and they just don't cut well. I think if I had put in like an extra pressure plate, it might have worked, but I didn't really, honestly, I was too lazy to play around with the layers, and I don't know, didn't really know what the actual sandwich should have been. I followed the one that was on the Big Shot, but it seemed like it just wasn't enough pressure. So that's probably why they don't make them anymore, and why everybody kind of just does the like thin metal dies now. And I did kind of think about like, well, maybe I'll replace these and just get a set of like the Simon Says stamp snowflake ones. But again, it doesn't snow here. This is from Williams, Arizona, where basically when we went to the Grand Canyon, the area behind our hotel still had snow that hadn't melted. So it was kind of an unexpected sort of opportunity to go play in the snow. We do have a mountain area that we could drive up to go play in the snow. We just don't. So I'm not really sure if it would sort of be the best use of my scrappy budget to go and buy like snow themed tools if it's not something that I would use really on that regular of a basis, I guess. Plus, I was able to get my silhouette to communicate with Windows. Shout out to Kiki. She was able to send me a message and kind of got me on the right track. What worked for her didn't actually work for my machine, but the thread that she had sent me to, somebody else had posted like a different method, and it ended up working out for me. So my silhouette is now working. So I guess in any future layouts, if I really wanted like snowflakes or something like that, I have my Cameo to kind of fall back on. But I do think that it would be a good basic to have like a smaller size snowflake die to be able to like stack them and stuff. Here I wanted to share with you guys, this is how I figure out sizing when I'm doing a bunch of die cuts, is I go into Silhouette Studio, I will drop in rectangles sized to my photos. So I've got 2 4x6 rectangles there, and then I size everything else around it. The snowman border, because I was cutting everything on 6x6 papers, I'd use the knife tool, cut it in half, and I'm just going to kind of piece it together because I needed it to sort of span an 8-inch section. So behind the letters, I'm kind of hiding that seam. And then I'm going to end up changing the pattern on the word snow later because I don't know, I just didn't really like the stripe. I felt like it was okay. It was kind of hard to read. So here you can see I'm just going to swap it out and just cut another one. And then I had cut some like medium and small size snowflakes, but my Cameo kind of chewed up the paper. That's one of those things where if you know that you're going to be cutting a really intricate design, you kind of want to cut that one separate and just kind of slow your speed down a lot, or don't cut them so small. Which again is why I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I'll look into getting like a couple of the smaller snowflake dies, but I'm probably gonna wait until they run like a good clearance sale or a retirement sale, because I have told you guys that is like the best way to shop, especially if you're not on design teams and you're not sort of in it to make a lot of money on like affiliate sales and stuff like that, to where you're kind of pushing current product. You're just kind of like me, where you're using what you have, you're using what you like, regardless of if it's 10 days old or 10 years old. Then it doesn't really matter if something's retiring. And to me, I like to save money, especially on tools and expensive things like stamps and dies. I think some of them are amazing, but some of them can be a little outrageous kind of with their pricing. And I'm not saying that it's not worth it. I'm saying that for me personally, there is kind of like a threshold of price to where I'm like, you know what, I think I'm going to kind of add this to my wish list, and I'm just going to wait for a good sale, or maybe if when they do like a coupon, I'll use a coupon on that one item. But definitely check out retirement sales. My Favorite Things does good retirement sales. They do good sales on like their inks. Yeah, just kind of, especially most sites, especially around like International Scrapbooking Day, and I've caught stuff on like Cyber Monday for super cheap. And then Simon Says Stamp seems to be pretty notorious for just randomly putting stuff in their sale category for like ridiculously cheap, like full-size stamp sets for like $1. So sometimes late at night I have caught a good clearance site or clearance sale on there, or somebody has messaged me and said, hey, they just uploaded a bunch of stuff to the sale tab, like go check it out. But yeah, typically that's how I get a lot of like my dies and my tools. And then of course I feel bad when you guys ask me like, where'd you get that? And I'm like, oh, I bought it years ago. But I will usually try to find something that is similar, because a lot of the stuff that I do get, it's a basic shape, like banners or hearts or stars, where maybe you can't purchase the exact same set that I got, but I can probably find you something a little bit similar, because those are good basics to have. Now, rambling aside, I did kind of follow her sketch pretty closely as far as like where to put things. I added a couple extra banners, I think, and basically it's just an opportunity for me to add some color over to this side, because this side is going to be pretty kind of white, which was why I chose to do like a notebook pattern over here. I like the white on white, but I do like a little bit of something kind of showing through. And the thing that I don't like about stuff like this is typically I will glue down all my papers and my photos and then deal with everything later. This type of design, everything is kind of layered together and stacked on top of each other and tucked behind and things like that. So I will get everything sort of figured out where I want it to go, make sure everything is going to fit, make sure any seams are going to be hidden, take a photo with my phone, and then basically start pulling stuff off top to bottom and kind of start putting it back together and hope I can get it back together. And I use that photo on my phone to sort of remember exactly where I had certain things placed, especially, like I said, that seam but on the snowman border, which I still think I managed to kind of mess up. I think I originally was planning on having my title a little bit higher, but it works out. And originally I thought I was going to cut, like you guys saw in that screenshot of my Silhouette Studio, I was going to die cut those big snowflakes, but I just decided to go ahead and use my big Sizzix die, which I can't tell you the last time I used one of those. And it's right there, I'm using it as a counterweight, but I forgot how much that like rubber, that black rubber thing that encases the actual blade ends up all over your paper, and it was really noticeable on that white cardstock that I was using. So I'm like, now I'm kind of understanding why most of these companies sort of switched over to those like thin metal dies that we're all used to. Now this area of the sketch was just, I don't know, I like things lined up, and then I like big elements like on the left being kind of tilted and a little whimsical, but this whole column of photos was depicted on the sketch as being kind of like tilted and wonky, and I'm not sure why I had such a problem with it, but this was sort of the area of the sketch that just was not happening naturally for me, I guess is what I would say. It was something that I would kind of fiddle with, and then I would literally turn off the camera, I would leave, I'd go do something else. Basically, I've worked on this all day today. I had plans to do some hand stitching and kind of add some more embellishments and stuff, and I could kind of tell just how my mood was and where the layout was ending up, that for me it was better to just call it done instead of continuing to add more to it. And I think that that's okay. I think at times you have to just kind of say, you know what, I'm okay with where it's at right now. I think some layouts come out amazing and they have all this detail, and then sometimes you have ones that are super simple and, you know, maybe your emphasis is more on the photos or the journaling. I didn't have a whole lot to say, so again, I used one of these little cut aparts, which is what I miss the most about the old Simple Stories 6x6 pads. Was they would take all the papers from the 12x12 collection and they would scale them all down to 6x6. So the paper in full size, that would be, you know, 4x6 cut aparts and 3x4 cut aparts, they were all scaled down. So you have these cute little 1.5 by 2 inch cut aparts that make perfect embellishments. And so I printed my journaling onto one of them. It just basically says that, you know, they had fun playing in the snow behind our hotel. This layout is going to go in with basically layouts for our trip to Arizona. And I didn't need any sort of detail. Like, they got to play in the snow. What more can I possibly say about that? I've got other things that I can say about different parts of our trip that maybe have a little bit more going for them, I guess. Now, I think at this point I'm pretty much done. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and add the date to my layout. This is something I do try to remember so I don't have to go back and do it when I'm putting layouts away. So I just tucked it underneath the title. So here you've got a photo of the completed layout and then a bunch of photos of different areas around the layout just so you can kind of see closer up. I know some of the white on white is difficult to see in a video, but it is something that I am enjoying. I feel like you can kind of have areas of your layout that seem, I don't want to say boring, I would say they seem quiet compared to a more busy area. And so to me, putting like white on white die cuts in that area kind of makes it feel less quiet, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The extra little stickers and stuff that I had added were from some October afternoon stickers. So yeah, that was about it. I will post, again, links below for anything that is still available and any kind of helpful things that I think you guys might have questions about. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye!